Welcome to Quantum Finance. My name is Parker. I'm the head trader here, but I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So, in today's video, we'll take a look at the economic calendar, we'll go over some news, and then we'll do our market recap and market analysis. So, looking here at the economic calendar today, Wednesday, June 14th, we did get producer price index come in at down 0.3% with 0.1% expected. We also got crude oil inventories come in at 7.9 million with 1.4 million expected. We also got the big Federal Reserve interest rate decision today coming at 5.25%, which is a interest rate pause. This is the first pause in interest rates in about 15 months. So yeah, pretty wild to see that we have been in a very extended tightening cycle here. Now we can look at some news. This is a summary of the Federal Reserve interest rate decision today. They did leave the rates unchanged, and it was a unanimous decision. They are going to hold the rate steady in order to assess the policy impact. And there was a strong support for more rate hikes this year. And they see inflation at 2.5% by the end of next year. And as I said earlier, this is the first time in 15 months the Fed did not raise interest rates. We also have Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, talking about a couple years out before the next rate cut. And this is a chart here showing the different rate hiking cycles we've had throughout history. As you can see here, this has been the most aggressive tightening cycle we've ever seen. And here we have a chart showing the S&P 500 overlaid on the Fed reserves at commercial banks. As you can see here, the correlation between the S&P 500 and the bank reserves, as you can see, there is a massive correlation here between liquidity in the system and the performance of the stock market. Here we have 62% of mortgage holders have a interest rate below 4% and 92% have a rate below 6%. And the current mortgage rates are sitting close to 7%, which is why there's a very extreme shortage of homes for sale. And here we have Egypt submitting an application to join the BRICS alliance. And this is the Modelo Especial is now the top selling beer in America with an 8.4% share, up from 7.5% in January, and Bud Light has moved down to 7.3% from 10.3% in January. Now we can do our market recap here, starting in the debt market with the U.S. 10-year yield. As you can see, red day today, getting rejected off that upper extreme, getting pretty tight here on these bands, but still consolidating in the upper end of this daily range. Looking at the dollar, as you can see, big red day here on the dollar, breaking down through that lower extreme here, but it did get a large wick to the upside, sitting right there above it, breaking down through that midline here on the weekly chart. Turning to the stock market, green day here in the S&P 500 with that Fed rate decision, but as you can see, large wicks to both sides. There was very high volatility today, which is usual for Fed days. Turning to cryptocurrencies, we have Bitcoin with a pretty large red day today compared to the past couple days. As you can see, pulling down here into that lower extreme and these previous supports here from the beginning of June. Breaking down through that midline here on the weekly chart. Starting to look pretty bearish here on Bitcoin. Looking at XRP, as you can see, massive red day today in XRP, breaking down through that midline, pulling into this previous low back here from June 10th. As you see, these bands still getting tighter as well, but pretty big red day today, down 6.7%. After getting rejected up here off that upper extreme on the weekly and daily charts. Turning to commodities, we have oil with a red day. Not too much crazy action here, just still consolidating down here at the lower end of this daily range. Looking at gold, slight green day here in gold today. Large wick to the upside off that midline, but still consolidating down here. Getting really tight on these bands. So I would expect maybe a larger move in gold coming up here relatively soon. Looking at silver, green day here in silver. Getting back up through that midline, but nothing too crazy yet. Still kind of holding this uptrend that we've been in for the past couple weeks. Now we can do our market analysis here, starting on the volume analysis of the S&P 500 Spider ETF. As you can see, that large volatility today with large wicks to both sides like we discussed. As you can see, large volume day coming in today, getting above that vol average with majority buying coming in. That RSI on the weekly chart here is still pushing higher, up towards that 70 level. Now we can look at the 3-minute chart. So we did get a slight gap up this morning, and then as you can see, getting a strong push above yesterday's highs, holding yesterday's highs as support before extending to the upside. Consolidating here above VWAP and then getting a nice move up for new highs on the day. Pulling back into VWAP for a while, consolidating at that level before breaking down here. Forming a bear flag here right above the open and at yesterday's highs. Going into that Federal Reserve interest rate decision. And then as you can see, when the decision came out, massive death candles here to the downside. Pulling into yesterday's lows. Pretty much finding that as support down here into actually Tuesday's lows. Then getting a strong recovery off that level. And then, just really volatility into the close here. Closing right here above the open. We can zoom out here looking at the 15-minute chart here. As you can see, breaking above that key resistance level from last week, holding it as support and then getting that nice extension to the upside into that upper extreme before pulling back here into that level and then breaking down through it, finding it as resistance before going into that Fed decision. Then as you can see, the extreme volatility that occurred afterwards. If you can look here at the 2-hour chart, you can see our oscillator down here. As you can see, the momentum and the steam in the the strength of this up move is starting to die out here. As you can see, the oscillator getting more and more compressed. We can look at the VIX and the Nasdaq. As you can see, big red day here in the VIX. Really pulling back here with that strength in the stock market, pulling down here into that zero line on momentum, coming down and filling this gap. If you look here at the Nasdaq, as you can see, kind of breaking this downtrend in the oscillator, bouncing off that zero line, getting a nice push up here off the open, and then pulling back with large volatility into the close, and then getting a strong close here, a lot stronger than the S&P 500. Now we can talk about some trades. We can go to our 1-minute chart. So starting here at the open, as you can see, that strong move we got off the open. Getting that push up through yesterday's highs, pulling back into yesterday's highs in that VWAP, going for a double top pattern. As you can see, breaking up here with a nice squeeze. We didn't have the best momentum, and the the oscillator wasn't that bullish, but this was just a really strong breakout pattern here that has been really strong the past couple of days. So this was just a nice play here for a quick scalp up to new highs on the day, or you could have bought here into this bounce off yesterday's highs. Both very good opportunities for just a quick scalp to the upside. Then as you can see here, we did kind of have a bull pennant form, which is a bullish continuation pattern. As you can see, the false break here, and then a squeeze to the downside here, getting rejected off that zero line here on momentum down below that blue line here. As you can see, would have been a nice opportunity for a short down to the VWAP area. Then as you can see, getting a bounce off that, getting another squeeze here at about 10:30, which with a really small pattern here. This is a small ascending triangle or descending triangle pattern. Could have been a decent opportunity for a quick long. You weren't looking for much, just basically a retest of these highs. Could have been a nice opportunity here. And then as you can see, another large squeeze here at 11 o'clock with a falling wedge pattern, which is a bullish continuation pattern. I really did like this pattern the most out of all these. A lot of these other patterns didn't have the best setups, but this one was a really nice setup. As you can see, a large squeeze with a momentum shift to the upside and a really nice oscillator posture. And we also had a trade line VWAP cross on the 10-minute. Then as you can see, that strong move it made would have been a really nice trade. And then as you can see here, we had another squeeze about 1 o'clock, breaking this downtrend here, breaking down through VWAP. Would have been a really nice opportunity for a short. As we were breaking down through that VWAP with a trade line VWAP cross to the downside, would have been a nice opportunity for a move down to the open. And then, pretty much after this play, you just wanted to stop trading because we did get our Fed decision here. There was some nice moves. This was, obviously a bear flag going into the Fed interest rate decision. You could have played it and it would have been a monster trade, but, it's usually not the best idea to trade right before a Federal Reserve interest rate decision because you never know how the market's going to react, especially all the algorithms that are based on the words they use. But as you can see, we did get the big sell off during the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. And then we did have a squeeze here with a momentum shift to the upside with a descending triangle pattern. Could have been an opportunity, if you wanted to take the risk and trade the volatility of the Fed decision. Could have been a nice move for a retest of VWAP. And then we did have a bull pennant here. But, this is below the open and below yesterday's highs. So, there was a lot of resistance here. But as you can see, it worked out for a nice move to the upside. But yeah, another green day today. Really strong week this week. Large volume coming in. Definitely going to be interesting to see what happens, to close the week. If I had to guess, I would expect maybe a pullback here. We are really extended to the upside, but, we'll see what happens. But that'll do it for the video. Appreciate y'all watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.